What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Lifeonaire Show. I'm your host, Jason Wojo. On the Lifeonaire Show, we help people make more, work less, and live awesome, incredible, amazing lives. I am joined by my co-host, Polish Peter. What's up, bro?
No illustrious co-host today?
Not today. Not today.
Dude? Not today?
Not.
See me doing this? You know why I'm doing this?
Because it's a celebration.
It's a celebration.
It is a celebration. This is our 100th episode, bro. I've had to talk to you 100 times. I deserve a medal.
You know what? You should be so lucky to talk to me 100 times. I think it's a very, very cool thing that we got to hit this little milestone, man.
Dude, it's fantastic, man. It's awesome.
Yeah, there's not many podcasts that are able to get to the 100 episodes. So the fact that we've gotten here and gotten a lot of amazing interviews, a lot of cool people that we have on this podcast. And so I think that what we should, talk about today is like some of the biggest takeaways that we've gotten from recording these.
So here's what we're going to do now. And by the way, we're recording this today specifically. This is perfect timing because I just went to a rock concert last night and I was screaming my fool head off the whole time. So my voice sounds extra raspy.
It actually sounds better than
it does,
typically.
So I figured
but you should just stick with this.
Before the podcast, I'm just going to just play rock music and scream, and then we're going to do the podcast. And this is going to make me sound apparently much better. So we're going to roll with that. So
you should just stick with that voice, man. I'm telling you, but like this awesome accent over here and your voice. I
sound like
we'll just.
Yeah.
Our podcast views will just go beyond now.
I think this has been what we've been missing. This is the key we've been missing. So here we go. So we are going to do an episode in a little while that is going to highlight. So this is something cool. Over the last 100 episodes, we've identified the most listened to episodes. We're going to talk about those specifically in a different episode because I think it's just really cool. Of like what basically you all as our listeners, as our viewers have selected as your favorite stuff. So we're going to use that information to get more of that, but also we're going to celebrate the cool things that these episodes have shared with people and what they've impacted people with. So we'll do that different episode. But what we're going to do today is talk about, Peter and I have been discussing this. And by the way, we get to ask people awesome stuff and we're learning too. Like this is, I've talked about this principle so much and actually it's going to relate into our second lesson here. But Peter and I have distilled down what we believe are three of the most, maybe they're not the most, but they're definitely three of the most powerful lessons we've learned over 100 episodes. Actually, it's actually 99 episodes now that I think about it. Dang, like we screwed up the math here.
Let's start over again.
So out of the last 99 episodes, here's three of our most powerful lessons, like the takeaways that if you adopt just these simple three things, your life will be completely different. All right, bro, what's number one?
Number one is how powerful people are. I mean, it is amazing for me to have an experience and talk with people and bringing on these podcast episode guests that really are up to something. There's a purpose, there is a mission, and all of this put together, it's amazing to see how powerful people really are.
Yeah,
and when you start looking from that perspective and looking from the perspective of abundance as opposed to like scarcity of lack or whatever the case may be, all of a sudden you see possibilities. They have their own visions. Think about it. How many of the guests that we had on this podcast are either, whether it's on purpose or totally by accident, that they have their own visions and they're going after that vision and how they have a purpose to it, right? They have a strong why to it. And it's amazing to see, what we teach at the 3-day Get-A-Life Getaways or in coaching and all that kind of stuff, how much of those principles are actually in all the people that are bringing on this podcast episode.
Well, man, it's incredible. And I'm glad you mentioned that. Like it's staggering. I think sometimes when you think about, when you look at someone who's successful and they're just a person, just like us, just like you, but they've accomplished extraordinary things. And it does start with the vision, but I'm looking down this list now. I have our list of podcasts in front of me. And by the way, I'm not going to hit on everybody. So please, if you are a guest and I didn't mention your name, like, and in no way am I dismissing that, but like, I'm looking at these people. Like, so we had Shay Bynes on, who has like over 1 million downloads of her Bible app for business owners. We have Erica Martinez, who created a business despite struggling with depression, and she pivoted in COVID and did some awesome things. We had Karin Zinter, who ultra marathoner, who's doing things. We had Jeffrey Hazlett, who built a business empire. Eric and Christina George, who are awesome, and they are doing incredible things in real estate with their family. I mean, I'm looking at this list, dude. It's phenomenal. Like, we had Joe McCall on. I mean, Joe created a multi-million-dollar business, just a great guy who loves helping people. Frank McKinney, and he has his charity that he supports. And he's multiple books. He's an author. He's done all these incredible things. We had Mike Michalowicz on a couple of times, actually. Mike's one of our rare two-timers here.
Mihalovich.
Yeah, right. I mean, Rhonda Towns, right? Best, Christian, I don't know, what is it? Top 10, top, whatever the list is for songs in the country. Rhonda Towns has a list there. We got, Lynn Anderson is awesome, right? She was on talking about some of the things and lessons as a coach she was sharing with her students and her athletes. I mean, I'm looking at this list, man. It's phenomenal. Like, we got to talk to these people. That Josh Tyler, right? We just did one with him and Savage Gentleman. Like, that was a great episode. Like, I'm looking at these episodes, man, and I'm just like, this is, it's just incredible what people can accomplish. And so, to your point, like, people are just, they're capable of so many incredible things. At the Get-A-Life Getaway, we use this little, it's a little teaching lesson where I start off and the whole thing is like, hey, if your cell phone goes off, you're going to give a donation to the charity that Lifeonaire supports. And I'll ask, like, hey, how much money do you want to donate? And sometimes people are like $5, $10, whatever. And I'll say, but hold on a second. Is it totally within your control if your phone goes off? And everybody agrees yes. And I said, well, why did you say $5 or $10 then? Why didn't you say $1,000, $10,000? What did it even matter? Right. Exactly. So I think to tie this into your point, people play small. Like because they believe there's a glass ceiling they put on their dreams, their aspirations. But I hope this podcast has shown you the incredible things that people are capable of, and they're just regular people.
Right. And that's why I want to emphasize here is because they are regular people. They're not, so much better, quote unquote, better, comparatively wise between, us or you, the listener, whoever it might be. Because a lot of times what happens with people is they compare themselves to others, compare themselves to these successful people, and but that's not me, or I'm not good enough, and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of disempowering for them. But I'm hoping that as you're listening to this episode and you look on these different episodes, these different guests that we've had and how we bring them up, that you start looking, no, I can do that too. Not the same exact thing that they've done, but I have something in me, some kind of a purpose, some kind of a why, some kind of a gift, a talent that I can use to my own advantage to be able to grow something and make something amazing in life. Because I believe that every single person that's earth has that.
Well, listen, and even if you haven't developed that skill or talent, guess what? You have a responsibility. You have an ethical, moral, it's not even a word, moral responsibility. I just made a new word, man. This is the 100th episode, new word edition.
So now you're complexifying it, right? By saying moral. All right.
So we have, if you don't have those skills, develop them. Like, nothing's stopping you. Get out of your own way, and stop. Also, you mentioned comparing yourself to others. The other thing that I've learned from these people is, like, they had a lot of failures. They really did. Like, it's not like they were, first time up the bat, they hit a home run. That's not how it works. That's not how it works in real life. And so you got to just be okay with that. Failure is feedback, right? That's all it is. You just change your approach, modify what it is you're doing and the way you're and doing things. And you just keep going, right? You just keep going.
Yeah.
It's just amazing.
I'm glad that you brought up the whole thing about failures, because a lot of people are, disempowered by it. When you start looking from the perspective as it's a feedback, it's a next step. Like, literally, if you're climbing up a staircase and that next step is another step, that's called failure, right? And the steps are failures, then the only way for you to get up to the staircase is just stepping on those failures, like taking the next one. How soon can I get to the next failure? How fast can I get to it? And all those kinds of conversations. And pretty soon, you're going to hit what you are trying to accomplish here. One of my favorite lines from Rocky, I think he said that, right? Rocky Balboa. He goes,
Yo, Adrian.
Yo, Adrian. Yeah. Well, I don't know. You don't have that voice anymore. So
Yo, Adrian.
All right.
There it is.
No, but he says it's not about how many times you get knocked down. It's how many times you get up.
Yeah.
And that is a powerful line. And I think if you use it to inspire us, like these guest speakers that we've had on this podcast, all of a sudden you start looking, you know what, I can do this too. Because I think, dude, if a Polak can do it from a 14-year-old, no English and small room somewhere in the middle of nowhere in Poland, anybody can do it. Dude.
Well, and along those lines, man, I think be comfortable with failure, be okay with it. Just learn from it. Don't take it personally. Look at it as feedback and also have some patience associated with that. Like, so I look back at my life, dude, I've been extremely slow to get
You're telling me
to experience anything success. I mean, dude, my first rehab that I ever did, rehab property, not like rehab. My first renovation took me 82 offers to get accepted. I remember Steve Cook telling me like, I was getting ready to give up. And Steve told me, keep going. And I did it. When I was learning how to do a wake roll on a knee board, which nobody does anymore. It's an old thing for old people, but like, it took me over 100 attempts to land that first one. Dude, it took me 7 years for my PhD. It took me over 10 years of competing before I won my first show in bodybuilding. Like, you got to just be okay with just buckle down and put your head down and get this stuff done and just be okay with moving forward and getting a little bit better each time. And eventually you will be someone on the podcast that we're interviewing for some awesome story that you have, or some great, incredible life that you have or achievement you've accomplished.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. On that note, what are you working on right now that's going to take you another 10, 12 years? Is it about the looking better? Is that what it is? I don't think that's going to happen.
I can't tell you. I can't tell you.
Older. Just getting old.
That is true.
All right, let's move on to the next one.
Okay. Well, so interestingly, the second one, I believe, is we kind of alluded to part of it. We talked about comparing yourselves to others, but here's the truth is that the people you surround yourself with, your network, your connections, your community have an astronomical effect on your success. Like, this is indisputable. I see it everywhere where like good people, and I don't mean like there's good or bad people. I just mean like people that are accomplishing things and are pursuing their vision tend to be surrounded by other people of the same like. Similarly, we've heard misery likes company, right? It's because we congregate and we feel most comfortable and we kind of like sort ourselves depending on where we are. And so I want to encourage you to look at your network, look at your connection, look at the community of people you're surrounding yourself with. And this has been said a bazillion times, which are the product of the people you hang out with the most, right? And so look at this for yourself.
Right. And that is a really important point, because what I want to clarify on here is that I think a lot of people, when they go and look for this network, who do I want to be among, right? And a lot of times, first things first, people don't ask who, they ask how. It's like, how do I get this done? How, right?
Yeah.
And that you can only do the how based on what you really know. So if you start switching that question and going to who, you start looking to surrounding yourself with the right people who can help you get where you want to go to. And not from the perspective of being like selfish. I need to get in touch with, Frank McKinney, because Frank McKinney is hopefully going to help me with this or whatever the case may be, right? But more of the perspective, like, how can I connect with Frank McKinney that maybe I can serve him, help him with something, be of service to him, and just start with that kind of a connection, because I think there is way too many, people who are just looking to me. And when you have this mindset of how you can help someone, and especially what you're really good at, think about it. If you have your talent, you figure out what your talent is, you go and help somebody with that talent, how you can support them and all those kinds of things. Amazing things happen. You start connecting with people. They start telling about others.
Yeah.
Because these, people up here, whatever, they know other people. So if you've helped them, they'll be more than happy to share with, people in their circles.
Well, dude. So sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, man. So one thing you said is super powerful. And actually this book came as a recommendation to me, a book by Dan Sullivan. It's called Who Not How, which is totally maybe worth checking out. And the other thing you said is like, look at it from an approach of giving, not getting, and don't underestimate your network. So for instance, Mike Michalowicz, who, by the way, like, I mean, best-selling business author, incredible guy. Like, I would never have a chance of connecting with him on my own. And by the way, I've tried to get some people on the Lifeonaire show unsuccessfully, where I'm not even getting a response. However, here's how your network or your connections work. So Lifeonaire, so Christina Kraus, Lifeonaire student who runs Postal Impact. She's awesome. She does marketing for real estate investors. She introduced me to David Richter, who wrote the Profit First real estate version book. David's a great guy, has a heart for helping people. Well, I was talking with David and he's like, hey, you should have Mike on the show. And so he introduced me to Mike's gatekeeper, who got me to Mike. And so that's just, there's like three steps in there, but your network has this incredible diversity of things you fully understand yet. And this, by the way, this also goes and applies to like when you start making changes in your life, your network is going to start to experience that as well alongside you. But even with some like high-end people that I've had the privilege of getting together with, I'd ask like, how, what can I do for you? How can I help you? For instance, some big name business people I've had a chance to help them with their fitness. Like this, they're making millions and millions of dollars, but they need a little bit of help on that side. And so I've had the opportunity to give them there, and it's all about service. And it's not about reciprocation. It's not a strategy. It's not a tactic, right? It's just, if you come and lead with your heart, then it really does. That's how you get forward, get ahead here and get plugged into awesome people.
First and foremost, they came to you for fitness advice.
I mean, they didn't know any better, man. It's not their fault.
They could have done better, man.
They should have went to you.
Yeah, exactly, right.
Well, they use Peter.
I have the clear choice, right? In this
people,
area.
I mean, people use me all the time to get to you.
Well, yeah. That makes sense. Yeah. Okay. No, but on the serious side of things, when it comes to this conversation, is look for your vision. Look at your vision that you want to accomplish, you want to get to, and you start asking who. Because I would imagine, and I don't know anybody on this particular podcast who are listening, right, who you might be, but I would imagine that you might have someone in your network already that can help you or connect you with someone that can help you get closer to your vision. Yeah. I always tell my students, and I think this is really important in this particular conversation, is that your vision is not a me sport. Your vision is a we sport. Mm-hmm. And I think that same thing is applied to life, right? Life. And I had to learn this a long time ago, because being entrepreneurs, actually, it's like a kind of some people refer to as a curse, right? It's a me as an entrepreneur. And I think not only entrepreneurs, but life in general, it is a we sport, right? Who can I talk to? Who can help me? And when you start to align yourself with people who are powerful people, who are in the same kind of a mindset, who are up to something, all of a sudden you start maybe helping them, serving them, and being there for them in some way, sooner or later, that's going to hopefully pay off for you to be able to get to your vision.
And I love what you said there, man, and you said they can help you get closer to your vision. And so this could encompass many different things. Like these are people that can encourage you, support you, give you feedback, give you help, make connections. Maybe you're in a joint venture in business with them. Maybe you're just going to experience life together and enjoy life together and go on trips and travel together. Like there's many different aspects to this, like, right. It's just not unilateral. And so that's an awesome lesson, man. So that's our second one. Peter, what's our third takeaway?
Third one is all about mindset. One of the reoccurring themes on pretty much every single episode that we've had is what the mindset, how important that is. They're constantly, thinking from a certain way, they're shifting your mindset and things like that, because otherwise, I don't believe that many of these people would be able to get to where they're at. And having many conversations, there is a reoccurring theme in that to be able to help you get to where you're at.
Yeah, dude. Like people either will give themselves permission to, and this, by the way, mindset is so broad, but on a large scale, what I see is like people have the belief that they can do it, that they are worthy of it, that they have or can develop the tools to get it. They can develop connections. But the other thing with mindset, I think that is important, and this relates to the first two that we shared, is like, number one, if you believe that people, and if you see that people are capable of incredible things and you believe you are too, that's one part of it. The second part is if you believe that people can help you get there, that's part of your mindset too, that will enable you to succeed. Yes. And because, I mean, there's so many different parts of mindset here, but you're right. It does come down to like, what's in between these two ears.
Yeah. And one of the things that just popped into my head as you're talking is, and I've been doing this with my own students, with myself, this whole idea of mindset. I think I think there needs to be a shift in thinking on how we talk about this particular area, because it's not so much about mind being set. It's about shifting, right? Mind shift. And I'm rebranding this myself.
Say that one more time.
Mind shift.
Shift. Okay. Thank you.
Yes. Shift. Yes. The transcripts are on the bottom of the screen.
Don't get our podcast marked as inappropriate.
Mind shift. No, it's not. I'm going to keep saying shift. No, but seriously, if you think about it, every single time let's say from the mind shift of like, let's say lack to abundance, you're shifting how you're actually looking at things. Yeah. So it's not so much about you're being set and how you are, this is it. And that's the only way to do it. And that's how I'm going to live my life. If you look at all the podcast episode guests that we've had here, is every single one of them had to shift their thinking to something greater, something bigger, something that can help them reach, great successes. Mike McKinney, when he was talking about his book.
Frank McKinney. Yes. Why Mike Mikhailovich?
Mike.
Yeah. So we'll do Mike McKinney and Frank Mikhailovich.
Yeah.
No.
Well, I just totally screwed that up, right? Didn't I? No, but listen, those two podcast guests, right?
Yeah.
Look at the books that they've written. There's a huge shift in thinking on how to whether operate a business or operate your life, and how you actually get to the next level. And when you start looking from that perspective, all of a sudden, maybe different ideas pop into your head that create a shift in life. There is nothing that people can accomplish. I truly, truly believe that. Of all these episodes that we recorded, my experience is that nothing is impossible, and when you start looking from that perspective, what's possible? Then the question of what's possible for me? Yep. What can I do? What can I accomplish? And that's when you start, listening to different people, start aligning yourself with powerful people, right? The community, and you start, giving back to them. Yep. And then you start operating in a way that's really getting closer to that vision.
Well, and that's why, I think, especially with our second point was the community. I think one of the best ways to shift your mindset and your perspective is to be around other people that are doing awesome things, because you can look at them and you can say like, gosh, they're no smarter than me. I can do this too. And taking one small step towards that thing, behavioral psychologists have known this for a long time. Like if you want to get somebody over the fear of snakes, you show them a worm, right? And then it's a garter snake and you keep building up. And so you want to build that mindset. You don't think you have the confidence necessary to succeed, or you don't think you have what it takes. Like do something small in that direction. You succeed at that. And now like that snowball starts to grow into an avalanche.
Yep. And that's when you start growing in life.
Yep.
And amazing things start happening for you. And listen, and there will be some fallbacks. There might be a detour. There might be the failure, whatever the next step that you need to take, because one of the things that I've gotten out of those episodes too is the question is, when it comes to living that vision that you want to live, is who do I need to become to live that vision? Like what kind of a person do I need to become? Because if you think about from all the different stories that these guests have shared with us, they had to become someone else, someone bigger, someone, more impactful or whatever it might be, to be able to live that new life, to become that person. And when you start looking from that perspective and you look, okay, I need to become, inspirational, or I need to become this person who doesn't look at things and that things are impossible, right? Yeah. Or I'm fearless kind of thing. And all of a sudden, when you start looking from that perspective and you start growing in that area, things are starting to shift. Things are starting to happen in a different way they were before.
Dude, totally. And just to kind of wrap up the mindset side of things, along with that is having a big enough reason, having a why you want this and you need to succeed. And, you really need to know that, and your vision gives you that why. So you need the vision. But you need the reason. Like, what's the burning thing inside of you that you have to succeed, and you're not willing to take no for an answer? Like, and you're just going to keep going and keep going and keep going until you achieve that thing, or you become that person, or whatever it is, the experience you want to have, for instance. You need that, because that's what's going to keep you moving forward.
Yep. And I think those guest episodes, I mean, they were several times, they've given us a really good look of what their why is. Yeah. Powerful whys.
Yep. And that's it.
That's what's going to get you going. That's like the fuel to get you to where you want to be.
Totally.
So listen, we're towards the end of this particular episode, 100 episodes.
100 episodes. Boom.
So I'm excited because we're going for what? What's the next milestone for us here, buddy?
I don't know. What do you think? 250, 500? Like, now it kind of gets longer and longer now. So I don't know. Well, we're going to see how this goes. I think we're going to celebrate 250.
I'm game, man. Bring it on. So those of you who are listening, listen, if you're up to something, if you're up to in life, reach out to us, reach out to the podcast, and tell us your story. We would love to hear it. And I don't care where you're at, where you're from. You might be the next guest on this particular podcast. Hopefully you want to be on this podcast, Lifeonaire show, right? Do you think they want to be on there? Or they're like, I want to talk to those two jokers. So I don't know. But yeah, we'd love to hear from you, because one of the things, like we just said, powerful people, amazing stories. And we love to share it with the world. Love to tell others.
Love it. Well, and, listen, I want to thank you, the listener, the viewer, for getting us to the 100 episode mark. Without you, it would just be Peter and I talking, and, our mom's listening. So thank you for that. And
my mom doesn't speak English very well. So that was,
so well, so please like this episode if you got something out of it. Share it with somebody who you think could benefit from it, and subscribe so you don't miss any of the goodies as we move forward. Thanks, everyone. Happy 100th episode. We'll talk to you soon.